Welcome to Bharat Times transnational webinar series. And today is our series number 5, that's on Gandhi and peace. And we have present with us on the panel, Dr. Aniruddha Mishra. He was former Deputy Director of the National Gandhi Museum in New Delhi, India. And we also have Dr. Ram Sharma, Associate Professor and Head of Department of English at GV College in UP, India, and myself, editor of Bharat Times. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Gandhi and peace. Very related words as well as intertwined and inseparable, I'll say. So when we talk about peace, peace is a word that we hear a lot about everywhere. So what is peace? Is it an ideology? Is it a philosophy? Is it an institution? Well, there are institutions of peace as well. Is peace the end of war? Or better yet, is it a state of being? If it is a state of being in the calm bliss, then how do we reach this state? Well, Gandhism was the answer to my search for peace. I want to share a poem of my own search for peace on this. Peace is I, peace is in me, peace is within me. Peace lies within Prakriti. Peace is the highest moral. Peace is the utmost principle. Peace is the foundation of humanity. In peace is the highest level of education. Peace lights the diya of enlightenment in our hearts. Peace is the potential in the sea of matter. Peace is the dynamism of social reality. Peace is vital life force. Peace is alive. Peace is. In search of peace, I read books to understand peace. I watched documentaries to unravel truth. I volunteered to spread peace. I joined groups to promote peace. I traveled to open my mind to peace. I sought higher education to find answers to peace. I sought peace in temples. I sought peace through devotion. I thought peace is in silence. I thought peace is in love. I thought peace is in nonviolence. At last, I shut my external senses. I envisioned peace inside me. And then I realized peace is I, peace is in me, peace is within me. So peace is within me is the philosophy Gandhiji envisioned. For him, being in peace was search of peace as means, whereas peace as an end, Bell only suggested a beginning of the process, which when journeyed upon will ultimately lead to peace. So we need peace as means as well as an end. In Gandhi approach or in Gandhian works, through Gandhiji's nonviolence philosophy, I found reference to peace as means and peace as an end. Peace as an end seems a simple phenomenon. However, it's not. We need to know exactly what peace is because we need to know what it is that we want, what we are looking for. We need to be aware of certain concepts that adhere to peace. And I will mention them briefly here. Adivasi, indigenous knowledge, very important. Aggression, it's anti-peace. We must learn not to have that. Coexistence of all human beings in harmony with each other. Cooperation of all human beings. Cooperation is basically compromise. It's the key to cooperation dealt in measures of degrees and extents. Development, which must be sustainable within the parameters of law of conservation of energy, since Mother Earth is organic and energy is a universal constant. Dharma, the word dharma comes from Sanskrit root dri, meaning to uphold or to sustain. Thus, dharma is that which upholds or sustains the positive order of things, the nation, community, family, and ultimately the universe. Then there's freedom. For Gandhiji, freedom of an individual is comprehensive in concern with the society he lives in. The society must be nonviolent. Then there's Gandhian anarchy. Anarchy in Greek means without rulers. Simple as that. But Gandhi's vision of anarchy was simply a society without hierarchy and a society that is nonviolent and self-managed. According to Gandhiji, the individual has a soul, but as the state is a soulless machine, it can never be weaved from violence to which it owes its very existence. Gandhian democracy is based on service and sacrifice via moral obligations or grassroots spiritual ethics. Gandhian nationalism. My idea of nationalism is that my country may become free, that if need be, the whole of my country may die so that the human race may live. There's no room for race hatred here. Let that be our nationalism. And some people might have trouble with the country may die, but the thing is, if there's a lot of violence, a lot of hatred, obviously, yes, it's gonna die anyways. Gandhian utopia. The ideal citizen will be an educated one and be an industrious, self-respecting, generous individual living in a small community based on Sarvodaya model and nonviolence. And there will be decentralization as well. And another concept is teachings of Bhagavad Gita. In brief, your right is to work only, but never to its fruits. Let not the fruits Okay, we have that. So let not the fruits of action be thy motive, nor let thy attachment be to inaction. Okay, and which basically leads to one of the branch of Karam, yoga, that is Karam yoga. Okay, that is Kaam karte raho, lekin phal ki ichha mat rakho. Grassroots spirituality is the dismantling of the institution of religion. It's the firm faith in being a God's child and a God and a good soul in the society. And let that be the mark of your way of life. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay. And then we have other concepts like human and mother nature, prakriti, jaan hai to jahan hai. We as humans exist in nature, and there is nature because in that we exist. And then another concept is progress, evolution, evolve as entirely, move forward towards humanity as a whole, not only as an individual or family or community or society or nation or a social or an economic or a political entity, but each and every one of us with similar basic universal ethical values of humanity. And interestingly, these values were put forth, and they're quite similar for Gandhiji as well as for Rosa Parks in the USA during civil movement. Resistance, it must also be of nonviolent nature. Sarvodaya, the term means just universal uplift or progress of all. It's a sort of Gandhian socialism that leads to classless and casteless society. Satyagraha, it's a Sanskrit word. Satya means truth and agraha means insistence or hold firmly to. Thus, Satyagraha will mean holding on to that truth, and which was also a big thing for Gandhiji. And Samarpan meditation, we all are energy beings at our core. So Samarpan meditation, by surrendering, unites us with the cosmic energy, the universal energy. And then we need to be aware of social moral order in the society, ultimate freedom with ultimate responsibility. Don't need to explain that. And the lastly, it's World Federation. According to the nonviolence advocate Gandhiji, there is no room for armies in a world federation. Once the nations denounce violence and hatred, this will create in itself a voluntary interdependence of states and nations. And coexisting and cooperating, that will lead to peace. So these are some of the fundamental concepts relating to peace that help us understand what peace entails. And peace, when explored as a concept, it's very different than when it is sought as a path on which to embark one's journey of life. So let me just distinguish both of these. Peace as a concept, peace as a theoretical construct has obvious inherent domains. Peace refers to that moment of nonviolence which is absorbed in the absence of violence and aggression. Peace is required at all levels within an individual, family, community, society, nation, and world. Peace is also required in all spheres of being physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Peace prevails harmony in such that we coexist. Peace as a journey, however, is different. Peace as a journey cannot be a theoretical construct because it's not a theory. It's a praxis of living via nonviolence means. In its own entirety, peace as a journey provides peace as means and peace as an end. Just some quotes on searching for peace where the ends define the means. Gandhiji said, oh, they say means are after all means. I would say means are after all everything. As the means, so the end. Martin Luther King Jr. said, one day we must come to see that peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but that is a means by which we arrive at that goal. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. And A.J. Mutt said, there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. And Thich Nhat Hanh, he said, peace is every step. And even Lao Tzu had said in 570 BC, if there's to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there's to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there's to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. If there is to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. If there's to be peace at home, then there must be peace in the heart. This brings us back to Gandhiji. He had rightly said, be the change you want to see in the world. And now I'd just like to end it with another one of my poems on peace. My vision of peace as well. It's called Knocking on Its Door. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Enveloped in love divine, relishing in the cradle of mother's arms, when will you come knock on my door? I am forever waiting with open arms. Are you looking for me out there? Are you talking about me out there? Are you advocating me out there? I am inside you. I am you. I am here. I am your hope, a potential of all possibilities, a sea of plausible. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I cannot be taken. I cannot be stolen. I cannot be bribed. I am the feeling inside. I am your courage. I'm your power. I am the weapon of strong, not of coward. I'm not aloof. I'm not loneliness. I don't stand alone. I'm that constant, never be gone. I'm your inspiration. I'm your aspiration. I am not imagination of this creation. I'm playing harp of love, sweet scent of infatuation, suspended in balance of soul, mind, body. I am the music. I am the melody. I'm your happiness. I enjoy the ride. Come along with me, where there's always sunshine. With dazzling grace, I'm beautiful. Never an ugly thought, wishful thinking, bountiful. I do reside in love, loving someone in the presence of utmost peaceful mind is a gift of divine. No mere feelings and emotions, no leaning on lust and commotion. Two souls plunge into the vast ocean, becoming one at last through peace potion. Hate is the poison that feeds on the soul of the hater. Violence cuts peace, piece by piece. Because violence begets more violence, it is peace that begets peace. Nothing belongs to you, nothing belongs to me. We came in the world empty-handed. Rejoice moments together of love and hope. We'll also be leaving this world empty-handed. This land is neither yours nor mine. Indigenous did not bargain our Mother Earth. We drew lines, traced, and called it a map as we trace the contours of our Mother Earth. There are no religions. Believe in me, trust me, hold my hand, walk with me. All religions reside in me. Race, creed, community, what have you. I'm none, but I'm in all. Don't judge me for what I'm not. Judge me for I, the ultimate search for all. Baha'is want peace. Islam claims peace. Judaism speaks peace. Christianity communicates peace. Hindus command peace. Buddhists search peace. Look at me. Religion above all. I'm the goddess of peace. Yes, peace is enveloped in love divine, relishes in the cradle of mother arms. Let's knock on its door now. It's forever waiting for us with open arms. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So that was my take on peace and Gandhiji. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Anil Datta Mishra. He's a very distinguished Gandhian scholar and a writer. He started his career as assistant professor in the Department of Nonviolence and Peace Studies at Jain Vishwabharati University, Lucknow, Rajasthan, and then became deputy director of National Gandhi Museum and honorary professor for the Center of Gandhian Philosophy and Human Development at Gayatri Vidya Parishad Degree College. And so he's done a lot of research as well. And he held the position of General Secretary of Indian Society of Gandhian Studies, Alliance for Sarvodaya, Member Board of Studies, Nagpur and Punjab Universities. And he's the member of Gandhian Studies Center for different colleges and universities across India, sponsored by UGC. And Dr. Mishra has authored and edited about 30 books and published more than 100 research papers and delivered lectures in almost every university in India. So there are a whole lot of books that he has written and edited. And he also received an award in 2006, Spiritual and Value Education, by the International Association of Educators for World Peace for his work in the area of value-based education. So Dr. Mishra, welcome, and please enlighten us. Thank you. You're on mute, Dr. Mishra. Sorry, I put everybody on mute. You're still on mute. Dr. Mishra, you're still on mute. You're still on mute.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. Already you have defined peace in a greater way. With us, Dr. Ram Sharma ji, Amita ji, and Manjeet Singh. In India, it is already evening, so good evening to everybody. I will not speak on peace, rather I will speak on Gandhi, not Gandhism. There is a difference between Gandhi and Gandhism. So I will talk about here the Gandhi and the peace. I wrote a book called Reading Gandhi. It is a widely circulated, published by Pearson, American publisher. It is already in Delhi University syllabi and other things. So whatever I understand Gandhi, so I will not touch the Gandhian aspect. I will touch the Gandhi because India needs Gandhi. And when I say Gandhi, Gandhi means here, who is Gandhi? A person who has a heart to help someone in distress, he is a Gandhi. Gandhi was a creative man, creating history for himself and rest of world to follow. We need to become a Gandhi of my family, Gandhi of my institution, Gandhi of my country. And that Gandhiji did it. He has spent around 3 years in London and 21 years in South Africa. So Gandhi is a byproduct of the global culture. He is a byproduct of the global culture. He read and assimilated all the cultures of the world. That was the greatness of the Gandhi. Whether you agree or not, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए पीर पराए जाने रे पर दुख अपकार करे तो वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए. The Indians have forgotten now the Gandhi. I always argue the Indians have forgotten Gandhi. And this is the case with the Gandhian institutions also. They have forgotten Gandhi. I am talking about the real Gandhi. So anybody who is ready to help the other, who is kind to other, is Gandhi. And here I see Ram Sharma is the Gandhi. Monica is Gandhi because she extensively defined peace in poetry, because I have read her book word by word. Here, Manjeet Singh ji is smiling. It means you are giving something to the society. In that context, I will see the Gandhi. There is a great poet called Dinkar. He wrote a book called Sanskriti Ke Char Adhyay, and where he say, शांति नहीं तब तक जब तक सुख भाग न नर का सम हो, नहीं किसी को बहुत अधिक हो, नहीं किसी को कम. Monica has rightly said, India is a culture of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Till India integrated the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, India was known as Sone ki chiriya. In the due course of history, we've forgotten and we only give importance to the dharma and moksha, not the wealth and the kama. So we started looking towards the West. Gandhi was the first person who again integrated the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha in modern context. So the beauty of Gandhi is that he put ancient wisdom in modern context. That was the beauty of the Gandhi. Somebody has rightly said in our, Isha Upanishad, Isha Vasyam idam sharamam tak ten jagat jagat ten vyaksen mu bhunjita ma kaschit dhanam. The whole universe together with the creature belongs to the Lord. Implicit in this thought is that no creator is superior to any other, and that a human being should not have absolute power over the nature. Let no one species encroach over the rights and the privilege of others. And that was the Gandhi also. So when I say Gandhi, why I say always Gandhi, Gandhi? Because Gandhi was a creative person, creating history for himself and rest of world to follow. Monica has rightly said about the ethics. The problem of India and Indian democracy is the problem of ethics and morality. There is lack of ethics in India. So we always say that we are religious but not ethical. We are religious but not ethical. Today, India needs ethics, morality. And Gandhi, on 22nd October 1925, he rightly said, the things that will destroy us are politics without principle, pleasure without conscience, wealth without work, knowledge without character, business without morality, science without humanity, worship without sacrifice. And that's why in present context, we need Gandhi and Gandhian alternative. When I say Gandhi, Gandhi is very simple. Everything else is very complex. Satya, Ahimsa, Satyagraha, these are very complex things. But Gandhi is very simple, very straight. So if you want to understand Gandhi, you have to understand truth. Already Monica has defined, so I will not go into the detail. Satyagraha. Satyagraha has misused in India. Gandhi's Satyagraha is totally different. To change the mindset of the other people. Sarvodaya, Swaraj, and non-violence. Gandhi rightly said, dialogue is prelude of democracy. Dialogue is a prelude of peace. Gandhi's peace is internal peace. And when you have internal peace, automatically the external peace will come. And that is the message of Guru Nanak. Guru Gobind Singh, Kabir, Ram, Rahim, all the people has talked about that one. In that context, we have to realize this one. Gandhi's concept of non-violence is sharing and caring. Now, Indian culture is forgetting now sharing and caring culture. You will be surprised to know it. Now, the old age homes has started in India. It means the fundamental, the basic things of the life we have. So when I say about Gandhi, the Gandhi's greatest contribution was that he used ancient wisdom in modern context. Some of the followers of Gandhi will say that, no, Gandhi has not read the religion. He has read all the religious scripture of the world. He molded it according to the need of the time. You cannot have a peace in the society unless and until you empower the women. You cannot. What is happening in Afghanistan? What is happening in the Christian world also? Women are not so religiously empowered like the women are empowered in, Sikhism or Hinduism or any other religion. That is the fundamental difference. So Gandhi give voice to the voiceless, power to the powerless. Because until and unless you empower the poor, empower the downtrodden, empower the indigenous people, you cannot have a peace in society and the nation. Now, the Gandhi's concept of peace is different from the Western concept of peace. Fundamentally, there is a difference. If you read, if you do the research on peace and non-violence, the Gandhi's non-violence is different from the peace concept. There, the peace means absence of war. For Gandhi, the peace means absence of a structural violence. Till there are military complexes in United States of America and in Western world, you cannot have a peace at all. So the Western concept of peace is absence of war. There is no war means there is no violence in the world. But Gandhi said no. John Galton, he was a student at Gujarat Vidyapeeth. He did a research on Gandhi and he said no. Gandhi talked about the basics of peace, fundamentals of peace, the roots of peace. Already Monica has given a definition of peace in a poetic way, so I am not going to repeat that one. But what Gandhiji said, absence of a structural violence. Violence in the form of tradition, violence in the form of culture, violence in the form of rules and regulations. So Gandhi talks about this one. I will cite here one example. The way we treat our women from the religious point of view, it is anti-women, anti-feminism. Almost all religions are unkind to the women. That is my humble submission. All religions of the world are unkind to the women. Now here the Gandhi comes. He said, you take whatever the good things come from any religion and remove whatever bad things there, tradition, custom, etc., etc. Now how Gandhian concept of non-violence is different from the Western concept. Gandhi used non-violence as a technique, as a weapon, as a strategy. So it was not a weapon of the weak. कोई इस गाल में थप्पड़ मारे इधर बढ़ा दो, ये गांधी ने कभी नहीं कहा है. मैं अपना पूरी जिंदगी जवानी मैंने गांधी को पढ़ने में लगा दिया. आज तक मुझे ये गांधी ने कब कहा ये मिला है. तो गांधी को हमें समझना होगा. तो what Gandhiji did, the Gandhi's concept of non-violence is greatest weapon the world had produced. It is more powerful than the atom bomb. In another word, I can say the Gandhi's non-violence is like Gandhi used a sword as a gunpowder to blow the foundation of the British Empire, where sun never sets. That was the power of the peace and non-violence of the Gandhi. The another thing is that British was so powerful, mightiest power on the earth. How you can fight with the mightiest power? You have to fight with a matchless weapon. And that was the power of the non-violence. That was the greatness of the Gandhi. और यहाँ पर गांधी और वी डी सावरकर की बातचीत होती है. आजकल बड़ी वी डी सावरकर की बात हो रही है. गांधी ने कहा जितने अस्त्र तुम्हारे पास है वो तो एक ब्रिटिश का थाना जो है आपसे लड़ लेगा. You have to fight with them because now a state has become more powerful. So the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, or any movement will survive only through the non-violence, not through the violent means. The moment you will start a violent movement, a state will curse you. A state will finish you. What has happened in Sri Lanka? LTT was very powerful organization, but the finished by the state. So here you have to learn from the basic tenets of every religion. Whether it is a Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Sikhism, etc., etc. Basic tenets. The basic tenets of all religion are peace, harmony. मेरे सामने मंजीत सिंह जी हैं. लंगर क्या है कि दुनिया में कोई भूखा नहीं रहे. It is the greatest service to humanity. All men are equal, irrespective of caste and class. This one. So Gandhi believed this one. So from Gandhi we can learn practice as you preach. And throughout the life, Gandhi did experiment of non-violence. The ashram experiment. All the ashrams are a center for establishing the peace in the society. Whether it is a Tolstoy farm, the Phoenix ashram, in India, Sabarmati ashram, Kochrav ashram, then Wardha ashram, now it is called a Sevagram ashram. All these ashram are place of experiment and where you can experiment the non-violence lifestyle. Now our lifestyle has become antithetical to nature. Monica ji hain, Amita ji bhi hain. Our lifestyle is not incompatible with the nature. Nature se bilkul alag ho gaya hai. We are overusing electricity. In other term, we are overusing energy that need to be sustainable. Now here, Gandhi is a man. He wrote a history. He was not a winner, rather than he was a loser. He never accepted any post in his life. Only once he became a president of Indian National Congress. We Gandhians are fighting only for the post. We have nothing to do with the Gandhian ideology. That is the paradox. The another beauty of Gandhian non-violence and peace was he was a natural leader. He was a byproduct of the circumstances. He was thrown out of the railway station at Marisburg railway station at South Africa. प्रत्येक दिन हम लोगों के गालों में थप्पड़ लगती है. But we compromise with the principle. The beauty of Gandhi is that he never compromised with the principle. So Gandhi changed the course of history. The another biggest point of Gandhi is individual non-violence. He converted to a mass non-violence. And that has happened only once in the history, and credit goes to Gandhi. So the entire Gandhian proposition of peace and non-violence was based on value system. आज क्या है, पर उपदेश भले बहुतेरे, हम दूसरों के लिए करते हैं, अपने ऊपर लागू नहीं करेंगे. गांधी ये कहता है कि entire proposition of my understanding of Gandhi is that his entire proposition was based on value system. And Gandhi was a moral person. Whatever demerits we know about Gandhi, because he himself wrote in autobiography or Satyagraha in South Africa or in other correspondences. The another beauty of Gandhi, you cannot have a peace and until and unless you question the fundamental. So Gandhi questions the fundamental. Means is as important as the ends. And he has break the Machiavellian dichotomy. Machiavelli wrote a book, Prince, where he has detailed कि राजनीति में कोई मोरालिटी की जरूरत नहीं है. चाणक्य ने भी यही कहा, लेकिन गांधी इसके लिए तैयार नहीं होता है. तो the another very important point is that when you talk about Gandhi, the same person become pre-modern, modern, and post-modern. That was the beauty of the Gandhi. And Anthony J. Parel and Rolf and Rudolph has discussed about it in length and breadth. In all the developmental discourses, it starts with Gandhi and ends with Gandhi. Even environmental discourse, civilizational discourse. Gandhi wrote a Hindu Swaraj, it is a civilizational discourse. Now there is a crisis of governance. America is the most democratic country in the world, and where the president himself said that election had been rigged. Can you imagine? It means we have to think about, so it is a crisis of governance, not in India, all over the world. So Gandhi said that, please, you must have a faith in a person. Now, there is a burden of bureaucracy. So what Gandhi ji said, integrate head, heart, and hand. Integrate head, heart, and hand. It is very simple, but it is very difficult to achieve this one. If you read the history of humankind, if you integrate head, heart, and hand, you will become Mahavir, you will become Buddha, you will become Kabir, you will become Ram, you will become Guru Nanak, because they have integrated all the three. So when we talk about Gandhi and peace, think out of the box, come out of the cage, and come out with the cocoon. So what Gandhi ji said, his principles are very simple. All his principles are centered around human beings. So I will argue that practice as you preach, think differently, find the purpose, means will follow. And what Monica has said, be the change you want to see in the world. You must be agent of change. So from Gandhi, the message is very clear. Preserve the relevant. Preserve the relevant. Don't say that all customs are wrong. Some customs are necessary for the human being. Destroy the irrelevant. Lastly, Gandhi said, create what is needed. You have to interpret the things according to the need of the hour. So Gandhi symbolizes self-control, self-determination, self-dignity, and self-respect. Finally, Gandhi was a visionary with missionary zeal. एक दिया पूरे संसार को रोशनी नहीं दे सकता, लेकिन पूरे संसार के अंधेरा में ये ताकत नहीं है कि एक जलता हुआ दीपक को बुझा दे. The Bharat Times is doing a great work. Whether somebody accept Gandhi or not, हमें गांधी के दीपक को जलाते रहना है. और जब मैं गांधी के दीपक को जलाने की बात कर रहा हूं, मतलब गांधी means he was a representative of Indian civilization and culture. When I say Indian civilization and culture, India is known for harmony. India is known for love. India is known for compassion. India is known for selfless service. And you people are doing that work. Now, I am coming to the last part of my lecture. I will take 5 minutes and then I will end up. War between states, violence is increasing, poverty is increasing, family values are disintegrating. And that is a concern for me. And therefore, I will say here, somebody has rightly said from Gandhian perspective, because Gandhi represents the culture of India. Gandhi represents the India, because Gandhi has become a synonymous with the Indian culture and civilization. Somebody has rightly said, और मोनिका जी ने चूंकि इतना अच्छा बात कहा है तो मैं कंक्लूड इससे कर रहा हूं. There is need of peace between body and life. There is need of peace between wisdom and habit, between self and society, between the purpose of the life and the method of living, and lastly, between the will and the nature. आपने मुझे सुना, बहुत ही अच्छा है. I will conclude by saying, उजाले अपनी यादों को हमारे साथ रहने दो, न जाने किस गली में जिंदगी की शाम हो जाए. Thank you very much for listening me. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. That was beautiful. And I'm pretty sure if I wasn't able to persuade, I think you very well documented all of Gandhi's teachings and what he was about, and was very nicely put together. Thank you. And now we will move on to Dr. Ram Sharma. And as I said earlier, he's an accomplished poet as well as a writer, both in English and Hindi, and in the field of literature. And as a student, he has been exceptionally brilliant student from class first to MPhil. Did his doctorate on postmodernist trends in Indian novels in English, study of Anita Desai, Arun Joshi, Amitav Ghosh, and Vikram Seth. So, and now he's an associate professor, and his works appear in many journals as well. So, yeah, we already said that, and he's already, he's an associate professor and the head of department, and as well as he's the editor-in-chief of 2 international journals, Ruminations and Glimpses. So, Dr. Ram Sharma, so have you put it together for us, please?
जी मैम, जी नमस्कार मैम, नमस्कार to all. I thank first of all thank Bharat Times, Dr. Monica Spolia ji, and we have just the great scholar of Gandhi and philosophy, Dr. Anilat Misra ji. Pranam to him also. And before me, I am watching, I'm seeing Amita ji and Manjeet Singh ji very closely is listening the lecture relating to Mahatma Gandhi. I have a previous lecture said, if we really want to understand Gandhi, we have to become Gandhi. It is easy to read some of the books written by Gandhi, but if we really want to understand what's the meaning of Gandhi, then we have to be Gandhi. And if we study the personality of Mahatma Gandhi, we will find that he's a social reformer, a spiritual master, economist, environmentalist, and he has expressed all his views through his book, India of My Dreams. It's very easy to criticize Mahatma Gandhi, but if we study the influence of Mahatma Gandhi, I can give you one example. I was visiting Los Angeles in United States, and there is a memorial by Paramahans Yogananda. You might be well familiar with Paramahans Yogananda. He's a spiritual, he had been a spiritual master, and he started self-realization fellowship in 1925 at Encinitas in USA. So in Los Angeles, there was a memorial established by Paramahans Yogananda. When I was visiting that memorial that is called Lake Shrine, in that Lake Shrine, there was memorial of Mahatma Gandhi. I was surprised that the essays of Mahatma Gandhi, if they are outside India, they are at that place of Lake Shrine in Los Angeles. So I was quite surprised that Mahatma Gandhi exists at Los Angeles. And the professor from Iowa State University, Professor Caroline, was with me, and she started talking about peace and Mahatma Gandhi. So you can understand what the people outside India think. If they think of peace, they think of Mahatma Gandhi. Although I'm not a scholar like Anil Dutt Mishra ji, but I am a curious reader, and I can well judge the influence of Mahatma Gandhi. You can better understand the people from Los Angeles if they are visiting Lake Shrine and they are watching the memorial of Mahatma Gandhi. They will be very well versed with not only Mahatma Gandhi but with peace. Dr. Monica ji have expressed that peace is a state of mind. You can get peace at any place. Mind is just like a lake. In our Veds and Upanishads, there are mantras, Antariksha Santi, Prithvi Deva Santi, Banaspatiya Santi, Santi Deva Santi. There be peace everywhere. And what they have envisioned peace through plants, through sky, through our surroundings. But what we are seeing today, we are seeing the exploitation of nature and all types of pollutions, whether it is a noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution, sound pollution. And we are trying to live in these pollutions to be happy and to be peaceful. So I call it is a mirage. And if we judge the influence of Mahatma Gandhi, you can read the autobiography of Martin Luther King Jr. It's called Mahatma Gandhi of United States. You can study the works of Nelson Mandela. You can study the works of Aung San Suu Kyi. You can study the works of Aquino. Though we are losing faith in Gandhism and Gandhian philosophy and Gandhian ideals, but if we have to study the influence of Mahatma Gandhi, on the strength of his achievements, Mahatma Gandhi became a source of inspiration in his lifetime and after for many, especially those fighting non-violently in political field. The name of B.P. Koirala in Nepal, Aquino Jr., he is also known as Ninoy Aquino of Philippines, Nelson Mandela of South Africa, and we are very well familiar with Martin Luther King. Gandhi's philosophy based on truth and non-violence has been admitted by the statesmen of the world as a viable source of strength for resolving conflicts, not only in the present world, but also in the future. Albert Einstein, I'm quoting from Albert Einstein, Gandhian philosophy would be the lighthouse for the future generation. He is saying that if we really want to see our future generation to be flourished with love and peace, we have to follow the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, and Mahatma Gandhi will be the lighthouse. We can say Mahatma Gandhi was a political dreamer. He not only loved peace, but he created peace. He created peace through his actions. His life was his message. He not he just not has given talks, big talks, or bombastic statements. He has tried to live as simply as he can. And he also talked about human rights, women empowerment, ecological balance, smart villages. And if we go through his book, India of My Dreams, you will find that if we really want the problems of our solutions, we find all those solutions in that book, India of My Dreams. There is a preamble by UNESCO. I'm quoting from that preamble. The defense of peace must be constructed in the human mind. Mahatma Gandhi has forced upon satyagraha, means the force upon truth, and he has made satyagrahis. He has made an army of satyagrahis. He made them follow his own life. Non-violent social change. What Mahatma Gandhi has brought, he has brought a non-violent social change in the society. I am quoting from Mahatma Gandhi. My experience in non-violence daily, growing stronger and richer, tells me that there is no peace for individuals or formations without practicing truth and non-violence. Mahatma Gandhi forced upon these two things, truth and non-violence, ahimsa. Ahimsa is not only by violence of war, violence of weapons. You can also create violence through your speeches, through your words, through your cruel words. So Mahatma Gandhi has also forced us to think that we are not to create that kind of violence through our words. Non-violence to the uttermost extent possible for man. The policy of retaliation has never been succeeded. Mahatma Gandhi was never in favor of that armed forces races or races of weapons, atom bombs. He always talked about the peace. He also quoted from the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. I have no doubt that unless big names set their desire of exploitation and the spirit of which war is the natural expression and atom bomb the inevitable consequence, there is no hope for peace in the world. Mahatma Gandhi forced upon the adoption of non-violence, ahimsa, and you can call him the apostle of peace. He has given the message through his life. And when he went in London for round table conference, he was wearing how many clothes you are very well familiar, and he is called the naked fakir. We have to study Gandhi, and we have to study, not only study, we should try to follow Mahatma Gandhi, his ideals. Peace will never come until the great powers courageously decide to disarm themselves. These are the words said by Mahatma Gandhi, that the supernatural powers, they should try to disarm themselves. Then this race of weapons will decrease. Otherwise, this violence of weapons or war will be more and more. And you are seeing it nowadays everywhere, not only in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Kashmir. I'm seeing after this COVID period, people are becoming more violent and there is no peace seen on their faces, in their heart. I don't know why they are running so fast and what's their destination. It's very difficult to understand their destination. Domination of one nation over another can have no weaker nations will be free from the fear of the attack of the powerful nations or exploitation. I have no doubt that unless big nations set their desire of exploitation and the inevitable consequence, there is no hope for peace in the world. Mahatma Gandhi also formed Shanti Sena, the Peace Corps, And he also expressed his views about international peace. And international peace, Mahatma Gandhi was in favor of independent nations. Powerful nations should not exploit the weaker nations. The equality of all nations should be recognized. Disarmament should be accepted by the nations both in principle and in their practice. So these are the views. If we read India of My Dreams, we will find that Mahatma Gandhi was in favor of women education, women empowerment. And he said that we should live with nature. If we study the works of Mahatma Gandhi, we find that there is great impact of Vedas and Upanishads upon Mahatma Gandhi. So that's why when I read his books, I found him that he was really a spiritual master. When Paramahansa Yogananda returned to India, he met so many great spiritual masters like Raman Maharishi, and Mahatma Gandhi was one of them with whom he met. And Paramahansa Yogananda appreciated him for his spiritual mastery. He was not a political leader, he was a spiritual master, educationist, social reformer. And whatever he did, he gave the message through his life. I would like to read few poems from my poetry volume, Lamp of Love. And his first poem is Be Fragrant. Mehkte raho, chehkte raho. We shall be fragrant in the orchard of our mind as love, taking our tears and making a most wonderful rainbow. We shall light our lamp of love, blossoming inside as our dreams come alive, singing in the pure melodies of life inside the great vast ocean of silence. The lyre of life forever sings, ever within a fragrant loving, as a sign of love's touch. Next poem is sharing together. This is the thing we need in the present context. Sharing together. Inside the dark orchard of fragrant love, we must go into all shades of bleak sadness. Let's share within our distress of mind. On the street of breaths, we have come to sing. Inside the fog of all our memories, dear, let's share and sit a while, rebuilding these scattered relations. Rebuilding these scattered relations, let's see only rainbows form among life's tears. Where dreams have lived in desolate, lonely eyes, let's cultivate fresh springs within new relations. Inside the barren fields of painful life, we will rise and bloom forever free, sharing together. In this present context, I would like to share when we, each one of us, want to gain some power, some post, it's our duty to give something to the world. We can gain as much money, as much power, but have we given love? Have we given peace? Have we shared something? What we have done for this world? It's not very easy. And I thank Dr. Monica Spoliaji that she has accepted my views. Some of my friends, professors, they ask me, what is the utility of these webinars or lectures? What they are going to gain? So we are not doing it to gain something. We are doing it for our selfless service, selfless regard for the humanity, for the world. So it is our prime duty to, at least when we see the sun is shining, the air is flowing, the rivers are flowing, selflessly, why human beings cannot do or create something selfless with peace and love. So what we need in the present context is peace and love. And Gandhian philosophy or Gandhism or Gandhi will find is synonymous, or if we talk about peace, we talk about Mahatma Gandhi. If we talk about love, we talk about Mahatma Gandhi. So we should do the inner journey. Let's try to awake our inner consciousness out of these materialistic, barren leaves. We have to create a new spring of love and peace. Though it's not easy, we are seeing a much crowd is running behind money and power. And we are feeling that we are just alone. But my dear friends, don't go behind the crowd. Be a lion and have the courage to walk alone. Ekla chalo re. So it's our duty to create peace, to create love. And in the end, I thank all of you to listen to me. Dr. Anil Dutt Misra ji have given us enlightened lecture. And Dr. Monica ji has she has defined peace, and she has read a wonderful poem. Amita ji, I'm watching that she is very curiously writing, noting, listening. Manjeet Singh ji is very curious, very serious. And let's have some.
Actually, Shruti
kind-
Dingra is there too. Shruti Dingra, she's watching you
Shruti
too.
Dingra. Yeah, Shruti Dingra. Yeah. I thank you, all of you. Let's join hands to share something for the world. Although I find it, we have got this human body. For what purpose? We have to search. It's very easy to earn the money, to grab the power by selling all our morals, principles. But if we study Mahatma Gandhi, he has given the message through his life. So I cannot be as great as Mahatma Gandhi, but at least I can try whatever little efforts I can make. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Ram Sharma. That was beautiful. And there was one question that was posed, if anybody wants to answer that. It's, can Gandhian thoughts be applied to technology in order to manage peace in this digital world?
Dr. Anil Dutt Misra ji.
I will answer.
Okay.
You know, Gandhi always used the technology for the benefit of the humankind.
Mhm.
He used telephone. His ashram at Sevagram was linked with the hotline with the Viceroy of India. That was the simplicity of the Gandhi. What Gandhi was not against the technology. Gandhi was against the craze for technology.
Mhm.
Like today I got a smartphone. Yesterday the upgradation has taken place in the technology. Immediately we want the new iPad, new iPhone. So Gandhi was not against the technology. Technology is necessary for the upliftment of the humankind, upliftment of the humanity, the society, and all the philosophers have used it. But the craze for technology is not good for individual or society. In that context, you have to read Gandhi. Now I will request Monica. This is a very cheaper book.
Okay.
Because if I will send to you, it will cost me a lot.
Right.
Through the Flipkart, you can buy 2 or 3 copies, present to Manjeet Singh ji, Manjeet Singh ji and Amita Singh ji and Shruti Dhingra ji, so that they will understand. Sorry, Amita ji, so that you can understand the Gandhi in a better way.
Mhm.
Because the problem is that very few people had understood Gandhi properly.
Sure.
Very few people, I am saying this one.
Yes.
Very few people in India had understood the Gandhi. The way we are teaching Gandhi in the university,
Mhm.
sir, you will be surprised to know. Somebody invited me in Amritsar and he said that, would you like to speak on Gandhi? I said, yes. They said, all are the follower of the Bhagat Singh. I said them, I will deliver a lecture and I will try to convince him that Bhagat Singh was also right. At the same time, Gandhi was also right.
Yeah.
And I did it. Methodology may be different. The aim of every person was to liberate India and India.
Right.
To liberate India and India. And therefore, again, I will congratulate the Bharat Times. You know, even a small beginning is a big beginning. All the revolution in the world has taken because somebody has started at a very small level.
Mhm.
So a small beginning is a big thing. It is more powerful than the atom, what we call electron, proton, neutron, etc., etc. The another point, what she said, you must adopt the technology, not the craze for the technology.
Right.
That was the essence of the Gandhi. So Gandhi was not against technology. Gandhi was not against modernity. Modern yourself. Your thought must be a modern thought, modernity. Rigidity. Gandhi never accepted rigidity in his life, but never compromised with the basic tenets of life. That is more important. And here, Gandhi learned from the world religion, because the message is to save the humanity from the catastrophe. Now, everyone is talking to mobile phone, a smartphone, not talking to wife and husband and the children and the society. That is the drawback of the technology. So please talk with yourself, talk with your inner voice so that you can know the world. Thank you very much for asking me this question.
Thank you. So I think that's, yeah. And there's another question by Manjiti. Is there time to present some views on peace? Okay, please go ahead, Manjiti. You're on mute, Manjiti. Yeah. You're still, okay. Now you're good.
Greetings to everybody. This is my first time in this wonderful session by Monica ji and Bharat Times. I primarily came in to listen to the wonderful views of all the participants. And I am not a professor or a doctor like most of the panelists here, but I am definitely a peace advocate and a small poet. There is nothing that I can say about the greatness of Gandhi ji to make him greater or otherwise. There is so much written and said about Gandhi ji that I think there is not more we can add, but we can definitely take leaps from his life to see how we can inculcate that in our lives to add value to the current day environment that we live in. So my focus is more on peace and peace, how I relate to it. What is important for me is not simply talking about it. Yes, talking, listening, discussing, reading, writing about peace is a good virtue. The only difference is between me and others is that some people adopt that more than I have adopted. And that is why they are a source of inspiration to the others. But when I think about peace, I think it is a God-given quality that is installed in each of us. And what makes us different from the others is when we adopt that, inculcate that in our everyday life. And this is why peace is so important to me. Other people that we talk or look forward to, such as Gandhi ji or Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King, or for that matter, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, or anybody. There are so many examples in the religious and political world that one can take inspiration from anyone that he or she seems to have him or her as his idol. So for me, in the practical world today, is do I inculcate, do I practice peace? And if I do, then I would automatically become a source of inspiration for the others. I need not preach it, but I need to practice it. That is the dilemma of today's world as I see it. The problem today is that I am more interested in preaching it to the others and asking them to follow one or the other. But when it comes to practicing the same, I think I have more work to do. I have summarized this in a small poem, which I would like to share with the delegates. And it is called Peace. Peace in me is peace in you. When we all come together, peace is all what we do. Peace in me is peace in you. And I think this thought is very well portrayed by Monica Ji and Bharat Times. It is exactly what they are trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manjeet Ji. And thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. And we will continue and we will meet next week on Saturday on October 30th. And once again, thank you, Dr. Ram Sharma, and thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Anil Datta Mishra
Thank you.
for joining us from India.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. all.
Thank you
Namaskar.
everybody.
Thank you,
बहुत
thank you
आपका
everybody.
सबका धन्यवाद. बहुत अच्छा
you.
सेशन था.
बहुत अच्छा
you.
जो है Thank you
हाँ
very
जी,
much.
बहुत अच्छा लगा
जी, जी।
सुनकर सबको.
नहीं, सब लोगों से मिलकर जो है बहुत अच्छा लगा।